All right, folks, hello and welcome. This is the XDC Deep Dive. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Hope you're enjoying time with family, loved ones, staying safe out there. And it's an absolute pleasure to grow this community, to drop deep dives, have discussions like we had last week here with Citizen of the Future, deep diving these utility projects and all the connections. And I think for me, what's fun about my channel, my program, and the conversations that I'm willing to have is I'm willing to have these crazy conversations about a $10,000 XRP. And then we're also having these interviews with folks like Utility Theory, Citizen of the Future, where we're dropping the deep dive connections that are on paper. I was actually going to show you guys. I don't have my red folder today, my buyback folder, but I had to go buy more printer paper because I just enjoy printing out these documents, these white papers, and actually being able to go through it, highlight, and get these documentation, get this proof in hand. Because we can talk speculation, 10K XRP, but then we also have a lot of documentation and partnerships, things that we can really grasp onto as real physical proof. It is this reality. It's not us just being crazy, hoping that we create generational wealth with our little utility cryptocurrencies. But we have the documentation, we have the evidence, the research, the facts. And it gets pretty interesting when you go down and you look at how big these problems are with this XDC. I just want to cut to the chase with you guys. With XDC, once again, the problems that we're solving, the problems that we're addressing are in the trillions of dollars. That's what turns me on. Similar to XRP, XLM, trillion-dollar problems, talking to the biggest banks, financial institutions, enterprise solutions, problems within the space, and the value, when we put a dollar amount on it, you get up into the trillions easily. And in fact, with this, we actually get up into the quadrillions. So talking crazy numbers, we love to do that. In this deep dive here, I'm going to try to cut through this as quickly as possible. But we've got a lot to cover as far as the history of XDC, the tokenomics, how the consensus is reached, and then we're going to talk about partnerships, utility, and my predictions. Guys, this is going to be a really fun session. If you guys appreciate these deep dives, please do me a favor, smash the thumbs up. Make sure you've hit that subscribe notification bell so you don't miss any of our content. More deep dives on the way. We're just finishing up a fantastic year of 2022 as we've grown the channel to 50,000 subscribers. We're dropping the deep dives for you guys. And if you're looking to get tapped in on another level, make sure you go to the website, sign up for the Patreon. And if you pay for a year up front for the Discord, I'm offering a free one-on-one session with me for 30 minutes. If you sign up between now and the end of the year and pay for 1 year up front, you get a 16% discount. And we're going to do a one-on-one session for 30 minutes, me and you, hanging out, talking investments, business, and just having a great time. As we wind down this year, guys, I just want to focus on not only our research that has led us up to this point, but continuing to take action with our investments, with our business. This one here had me taking a little bit of action, full transparency. I did have to go buy a little bag of XDC after researching this once again. It was a position that I held before. I had since let it go. I wanted a loss for my tax reasons. So I took a loss on my XDC and a few of my other cryptocurrencies. That was basically at the beginning of this year, and I just had to make a re-entry into XDC after doing this deep dive. So full disclosure, I'm not paid by XinFin. There's no partnership, no promotion, no sponsors. This is just something that I believe in. This is a massive project. And so without further ado, let's get straight on into it. XDC Deep Dive. Thank you for joining me today, guys. I appreciate all of you, and Merry Christmas to you all. Here we go. Let's get it started. XDC is the coin we are talking about today. Let's get it rolling. All right, so we're talking, what is XDC? The history of XinFin, the company that created XDC, and then we're going to get into the tokenomics, the XinFin delegated proof of stake, which is the type of consensus that this network uses. We're going to talk about the governance council, XinFin partnerships. Then we get into the fun stuff, the utility, trade finance, and some XDC predictions. So massive session. Let's get it rolling, guys. Okay, what is XDC? XDC is the native token to the XinFin network, similar to Ripple network and XRP and the Stellar network and XLM. It's basically a similar relationship between the companies and the coin, the native token XDC for the XinFin network. XinFin Network is an innovative solution to the scalability problem of the Ethereum blockchain and other current blockchain platforms. XinFin Network relies on a system of 500 plus master nodes with XinFin delegated proof of stake consensus that can support low transaction fees and 2-second transaction confirmation times. Security, stability, and chain finality are guaranteed via novel techniques such as double validation, staking via smart contracts, and true randomization processes. XinFin Network supports all EVM-compatible smart contracts, protocols, and atomic cross-chain token transfers. New scaling techniques such as sharding, EVM parallelization, private chain generation, hardware integration will be continuously researched and incorporated into XinFin Network's masternode architecture. It will be an ideal scalable smart contract public blockchain for decentralized apps, tokenized issuance, and token integration for small and big businesses. Now, what gets me excited here, one of the main utilities that I love with XDC here, is that ability to move your Ethereum ERC20 tokens to the XinFin network, and all Ethereum smart contracts are compatible with XinFin as well. Major utility, and I love to see that. Now, let's get into the history of XinFin. So basically, from my research, the company XinFin was founded in 2017, but the XDC network went live on June 1st, 2019, and was created by Ritesh Kakad and Atul Kakade. Kakad was a serial tech entrepreneur with decades of experience in the field of cloud computing. Kakade was a computer engineer by training, played the leading role at Monada Go in the creation of the first permission blockchain network for a consortium of the most prominent Asian banks. Kakad and Kakade set out to build an enterprise-ready blockchain uniquely suited to the task of liquefying global trade finance. And so with that overarching goal in mind, they joined forces with Andre Casterman, who served in a prominent leadership role for the network. Casterman had already spent over 20 years at Swift, leading various technology innovations in interbank payments, corporate treasury, and trade finance. During that time, he established an institutional partnership between Swift and the International Chamber of Commerce, ICC, and created the first digital trade settlement instrument. Currently, in addition to serving as a senior advisor to the XDC Foundation, Casterman chairs the FinTech Committee of the International Trade and Forfeiting Association, with a focus on helping bank establish trade finance as an investable asset class through use of data and artificial intelligence technologies. Casterman also serves as CEO of the Trade Finance Distribution Initiative. So a couple of major partnerships and institutions, initiatives, and what's this other one? Chamber of Commerce. There are some big major groups, connection there to Andre Casterman here, 20 years with Swift. And as you can see, these guys are experts in cloud computing and computer engineer, basically experts here, Kakad and Kakade. These are the guys that created the XDC network. Now let's move on over to the tokenomics, and I'm going to show you guys, this is basically the tokenomics that were released with the white paper, and then I'm going to show you guys the updated tokenomics as according to XinFin. So according to the XinFin white paper, the maximum total supply of XDC tokens is 100 billion coins, and all of these tokens are limited and locked. The tokens are received through mining, but there is no need to do that anymore as the token is already pre-mined. So similar to XRP and XLM, right? These tokens are already created, they're already minted, pre-mined. The token is distributed throughout the network to induce growth and promote a network effect. 25% of the token's total supply is reserved for the founders and the core team. 15% of the supply is set aside for the development pool of the ecosystem of the XinFin organization. 10% is allotted for pre-placement and follow-up token offering, and 32.5% is allocated as incentives for users to participate in the ecosystem. 10% is earmarked for hedge pools, 5% is reserved for philanthropic activities, and the remaining 2.5% is committed to the contingency fund. Now, got to show you guys this. Let's move on over here. That, like I said, was the original tokenomics released with the original white paper, but I'm going to show you guys right here, the actual distribution and creation is different. So let's check this out. This is from Medium, a Medium article put out by XinFin themselves. Okay, and this explains right here for you guys, the total supply of XDC is actually capped at 37.5 billion, while the total number of tokens circulating is 2.1 billion as of May 29, 2020. Now, the current circulating supply, if you pull the numbers from CoinMarketCap, and that's the self-reported circulating supply from Zinfin, is now 13.8 billion. Okay, so let us now see the distribution of the XDC tokens. As you can see, 15 billion were allocated to the founder. 3% of that is released per year. So far, we've had that released over 3 years, and the total released is 1.35 billion. So we still have, another, 13.5 billion or so that needs to be allocated and released to the founders. 2.5 in that contingency. 10 billion in the ecosystem, and that's for developers on the ecosystem. 2.5% released per year. We've had 3 years of release, and we have 750 million has been released so far to the ecosystem. Pre-placement and placement, we have another 10 billion, and that is been released. Okay, pre-placement and placement, so that's 10 billion that's already been released. And then the master node rewards is 83 million, and currently, this is interesting. Currently, per year, 87 million has been released per year, and that's happened in 1 year. And that basically in 1 year so far, they have released 83 million. Okay, now I'll explain this here further. But that gives us a total of 37.5 billion tokens, and the total that have been released, like I said, is now 13.8, not 12.1. Okay. Now, the founders, advisors, core team members of the community. 40% of the total XDC supply has been allocated to the founders, community, core team, and advisors of the project. That sums for a total of 15 billion XDC token, whereas 3% is released every year, and for the past 3 years, 1.35 XDC has been released. However, founders have not sold any amount of tokens yet, but few ex-core team member and advisors have sold their part of tokens in the market in 2018 and 2019. So they have done some selling, but the original founders have not sold any yet. Now, this article was released, I believe, in 2020. Yeah, June 4th of 2020. So like I said, these numbers are not the current updated numbers, but this is what they decided to do. Instead of doing 100 billion, they've capped it at 37 billion. And then this is what they've done so far. Of the total, this is for ecosystem development, 26.67% of the total supply of tokens, amounting to 10 billion XDC, is allocated for ecosystem development of the Zinfin, TradeFinex, and other dApps, where 2.5% releases every year until now. Total of 750 million has been released from the past 3 years. This also includes the XDC allocated for bounty programs also. At present, 451, what is that? That is 451 million XDC tokens are utilized under the ecosystem development. Contingency. Zinfin has also allocated a total of the 6.66% of tokens to be used in case of any unexpected circumstance. The total XDC tokens allocated for any form of contingency sits at 2.5 billion. They should have done a different percentage. We don't like the 666, but whatever. 2.5 billion tokens is what they have in contingency. All the tokens are currently locked and will not be brought into circulation unless there is an emergency. I don't know what they define as an emergency or what that would be, but that's what they're telling us. 2.5 billion held up for contingency. The remaining 26.67% of the supply represented the tokens for Alphex Exchange, Masternode Stake, burnt tokens, and other circulating supply. This totals 10 billion XDC tokens. Of this, there are currently 4 billion XDC held by users of old XDC chain in form of mainnet XDC, and many still holding in the old close wallets. These tokens are stored with users of the old XDC chain in the form of mainnet XDC. Many of the tokens are also held in closed wallets. So I believe what happened is basically it was an ERC20 token before they updated and made it their own network and made XDC kind of their own deal. So I believe that's what happened. Was it used to be XDCE, but then XDC, the native token, was released in 2019, I believe is how the story goes. And that's why they have that Ethereum compatibility, right? So there's still 4 billion XDC being held in the form of mainnet XDC, and that's in old wallets. And I don't know if they're still able to convert that to current XDC or what the deal is with that. But that's what's interesting about this project is there's quite a bit that's locked up, and there's quite a bit. If you want to do a master node, you need to lock up 10 10 million XDC, and then you need to invest another like 90 million in staking too. I'll show you guys that here in a moment. Apart from the above mentioned circulating supply from different sections, there are 83 billion circulating as master node, 83 million circulating as master node rewards. Additionally, we have 10 billion XDC tokens under circulation from pre-placement and placement. Released tokens under ecosystem development and founders account are 750 million and 1.35 billion respectively. The total number of circulating tokens thus equals 12.1 billion as on this is June of 2020, right? So updated numbers is 13.8 billion circulating supply, but they have capped it at 37.5 billion. Now, this was interesting for me because when I was going at the end of this, when I was getting to my predictions for my calculations for the market cap bros, doing my calculations, trying to see how big XDC could get, originally I was thinking that we had 100 billion tokens that were eventually going to be released, but the number is actually 37 billion. So basically, give or take, we can almost 3x. There's going to be only a third of the original supply is going to be released. Now, we still have a ways to go, right? We're at 13 billion and we need to release 37 total. But once again, what we're doing is we kind of have to trust these projects that they're going to invest in the ecosystem. I talk about this all the time with RippleXRP and then Ripple being righteous custodians of XRP and the escrow accounts. I do kind of see a similar thing going on here with XinFin. And the main thing, right, is that the founders have not dumped their bags. Some of the team members have, but we've seen that the founders have not sold any of their XDC yet from what I've been able to find. And obviously, we're going to have to continue to watch that. But what we want to see is these companies like XinFin, they've allocated so much of the tokens to themselves. We need to see that they are going to be righteous custodians and invest in the ecosystem. So we want to see, like Ripple's doing a $250 million NFT fund. What kind of deals like that is XinFin going to be doing? What kind of grants? Where we see that they got bounties as well. And they have allotted a lot of this is, and this is the beautiful thing about the blockchain transparency is that we can see where it's going. We can see, with everything that's happening with SBF and the FTX fiasco, and we can see all of these exchanges going bust in the current liquidity crisis. Well, we can also see these utility projects and the investments in the utility and ecosystem that they've made. And that's what we want to see, right? So we're going to have to continue to watch that. But the tokenomics are a little bit more attractive than the original white paper that was going to be 100 billion tokens. Now we're only working with 37 billion, and the current circulating supply is about 13 billion. And you're seeing that we have that inflation rate. The amount that's going to be released every year is about 2% or 3%. So this is going to be slowly released out over time, and that gives us expectations of how quickly the supply is going to grow as well. So we don't want to see a scenario where they can just decide to dump, obviously the contingency plan, 2.5 billion or whatever it is. That's a considerable amount, but we just want to trust that they're going to be, righteous custodians of the asset and of those tokens, but we're going to have to continue to watch that, okay? Now let's continue on here, folks. We just went over the tokenomics, okay? And now let's move on into the consensus protocol here with XinFin. XinFin Delegated Proof of Stake XDPOS Consensus. XinFin Delegated Proof of Stake Consensus enables XinFin Network as an EVM compatible and scalable public blockchain on which every Ethereum smart contract can be effectively run with almost instant transaction confirmation. XDPOS features its masternode architecture in which token holders deposit 10 million XDC to become a masternode. Masternode are selected for block creation within a period called epoch. Each masternode takes its block creation in round-robin manner every 2 seconds and follows the double validation technique for security reinforcement. A block is finalized if it is signed off by 3/4 masternodes at the end of each epoch. The masternodes that have signed finalized blocks are rewarded right there. So you basically have 75% consensus, where in Ripple XRP you got in the XRP ledger, it's going to be an 80% consensus. In this one, you basically have 75%. 3/4 masternodes have to reach that consensus, and then the block will be finalized, okay? And then those masternodes are going to be rewarded, okay? Now, according to XinFin, governance membership includes 500 plus masternodes at the time of this recording, okay? Now, the governance council for the XinFin network. This is pretty interesting. So The governance council for the XinFin network consists of council nodes, which is only basically invitation for limited members. So you have to be invited and basically selected. But basically here, a council node needs to run a master node, which requires 10 million XDC. And then they also need to stake 90 million XDC other than the master node locked for 1 year. Right. So I stand corrected. To run a master node, you only need to basically lock up 10 million XDC. But to run a council, for the governance council, you need to stake an additional 90 million XDC other than the 10 million XDC that you're running your master node with. Okay? So basically, you have to make a 100 million XDC investment and lock up 90 million of that for 1 year to become a governance council member, and you have to be invited. Now, the responsibilities of a council member would be to maintain a healthy master node, participate in regional compliance, participate in whitelisting XDC with regulators, participate in maintaining healthy liquidity of the XDC ecosystem, participate in the growing developer ecosystem and enterprise ecosystem regionally, participate in governance vote of the XinFin network, and the rewards and benefits is up to 5 million XDC a year will be sent as council rewards from ecosystem pool, which was approved. 5 million XDC was approved voting based from the master nodes. The rewards will reduce after every year. Participate in the future roadmap. So you get to participate in the future roadmap of the XDC network, and you will be rewarded. There's approval of 5 million XDC is going to be rewarded to council members every year. Okay. Now, at the time of this recording, with XDC trading at 2 cents, it would take $278,000 to set up a master node. Now, in addition to that, right, it would take even more. Basically you'd be at almost 2.8 million USD to set up and become a council member, because you would need an additional 90 million XDC. But at the time of this recording, we would be looking at 278,000 USD would get you the 10 million XDC to set up a master node. So for those of you with a few $100,000 to spare, you feel free to go set up a master node. Now, let's get into the partnerships. This is where this gets fun, guys. Major. So Copper.co is institutional grade custody solution. They partnered up with them a few years ago, and what they're trying to do is bring institutional grade custody for their enterprise clients, and ability for them to be able to store their XDC and digital assets safely, right? Then they partnered up with AIX, which is the world's first AI bond broker. Now check out this one. This is an interesting one here, this partnership. Let me show you guys this one. AIX, an AI fintech firm, is launching Bonsai, the world's first artificial intelligence bond broker, setting their sights on disrupting a $15 trillion market. Okay. Now, this is a very interesting deal, and what they did here, by tokenizing infrastructure bonds, XinFin and AIX aim to bridge a gap in the market, allowing them to provide direct liquidity access to global institutional investors for investments in critical physical infrastructure projects such as power, water, and transportation. The first issuance of bonds will take place in the third quarter of 2019 and will consist of approximately 250 to 400 million of AAA rated sovereign-backed post-risk infrastructure bonds from the books of the development banks and government treasuries. So right there, you have government treasuries, but then you have additional public, basically infrastructure projects that get funded through bonds as well. So, back in 2019, right there, the initial was 250 to 400 million of AAA rated sovereign-backed bonds. So very interesting project there, and this is the first of its kind. AI, the first artificial intelligence bond broker, and they're trying to disrupt a $15 trillion market. Like I said, I like to hear that that trillion with a T always turns me on. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. Now, in addition to that, we have R3. XDC is used as basically the primary settlement token, and is also used as an ERC20 bridge on Corda Settler, which is a blockchain agnostic program. You guys already know XRP was the first cryptocurrency that was used for settlement on R3's Corda Settler, but now they have chosen XDC as the main the main token for settlement. And like I said, they're using it for that ERC20 bridge to bridge all of the Ethereum smart contracts and tokens. They're using that as well. Now you're asking, well, how big is R3? Well, let's go take a look here. Right here, how many banks use R3 Corda? I just Googled this really quick. We have over 100 banks, financial institutions, regulators, trade associations, professional service firms, and technology companies to develop Corda. It's a distributed ledger platform designed specifically for businesses. And who uses R3 Corda? Among the key clients of R3 using Corda are the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. That's the DTCC. We've talked about them before. Absolutely major. MasterCard, Wells Fargo, MoneyGram, NASDAQ, as well as government, central banks, and financial regulators around the world. Remember, DTCC, last time we covered this, approximately 643 million securities valued at 152 trillion were settled at the DTC in an efficient and risk-controlled process in 2021, and that only continues to grow. Absolutely massive. 152 trillion at the DTC, and the United States basically about 87 trillion was settled in United States securities as of 2021. Yeah, in over 170 countries. So absolutely major partnerships right there, just right off the bat, right? $15 trillion bond market disrupting. And then we move on in over here. We have 152 trillion just settled at the DTC alone. But overall, we see the derivatives market, right, reaches into the quadrillions. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for some reason I have 2.4 quadrillion in my mind talking about DTCC. And I'm trying to think where that came from. I don't know if that's the amount of assets total, right? We have security settlement of 152 trillion, but I think the total assets is 2.4 quadrillion. I'm gonna have to come back to that because for some reason that number's sticking in my head. But nonetheless, we know in 2021, we had 152 trillion of securities settled just at the TTCC alone, right? But we love to see R3 basically primarily is choosing XDC as the settlement token for Corda Settler. Obviously, it's blockchain agnostic. You can use XRP, you can use other cryptocurrencies. But the key thing and the key utility that I love to see here with XDC is the ability to bridge all of the Ethereum smart contracts and all of the ERC20 tokens. It's absolutely major. Absolutely major. Now, let's continue on here, guys. SodaTech, standardizing dApps and building relay bridges to the Hyperledger and other networks. Major partnership there. Then we have one out of Abu Dhabi Global Market, which was a fintech sandbox in the UAE, where Zenfin was the primary, basically the only cryptocurrency project that was part of their original fintech sandbox that they ran over there. Working on all types of solutions over there in Abu Dhabi, right? And then we see that they did support for USDC. That's a partnership with Circle. The next one is Ramco, which is a hybrid blockchain solutions for Ramco's global enterprise clients. That's the other key part about XDC is being that public-private blockchain. It's a hybrid blockchain that allows you to run the public blockchain where everyone can see it, but then also includes private layers, basically private hybrid blockchain solutions for enterprise, basically businesses that don't want to show you all the data, but they want to be able to integrate and operate within the public blockchain as well. So basically it allows them to, operate within that public blockchain while keeping some of their data, some of their, some of their important data offline, private, from the rest of the space. So that's very important for these institutions that are looking to adopt cryptocurrency and integrate distributed ledger technologies. They need that privacy. Then we have India's I don't know how to say that. Associacham, India's Associacham TradeFinex platform for Associachams, 300 plus trade associations and 450,000 members. 450,000 members, and that's out of India. Major partnership. Now, the utility for XDC, like I mentioned, interoperability with Ethereum. You can move ERC20 tokens to XDC in 15 minutes. So I remember last year when I did my interview with Quincy Jones. He's actually a developer, one of the lead developers at Zenfin. He explained to me that basically you can move any of these ERC20 tokens to XDC in the time it takes to drink a cup of coffee, was the direct quote from Quincy Jones. So I just put 15 minutes there. Some of us drink our coffee faster, maybe some of us are a little bit slower, but you get the point. In less than an hour, you can move your ERC20 token to a blockchain that actually is efficient and actually works and scales with 2-second transaction time and 2,000 transactions per second. And way cheaper transactions, you can move it on over to XDC in less than an hour. So that's a major, major use case. Now, like I said, hybrid blockchain, public and private. It is ISO 222 message standards. It is compliant with the messaging standards of ISO 222. Major, we love to see that. Like I said, a lot of smart contracts. We had over 4,000 smart contracts were added to XDC. I think that was just last year. And so thousands are getting added every year. Major adoption, and that's one of the major utilities of this network. Decentralized applications as well. So basically allowing enterprise solutions to build out their dApps specific to their company's needs, to their, the specific applications that their business would need. And this is major. We're seeing all sorts of dApps being built on top of XDC. Seamless deployment of layer 2 tokens. I forget what the protocol is. It's like XD 101 or something like that, where basically it allows you to build layer 2 tokens on top of XDC seamlessly. Similar to how we have all these tokens that are being built on top of XRP, XLM. Now we have the same thing going on with XDC too. So basically you can create layer 2 tokens, you can build your dApps and your smart contracts, all compatible with Ethereum, and it's all done in a seamless way. So that's major. Now, we got to get into the trade finance solutions, which is the major utility here with XDC. The XDC network was the first and only blockchain invited to join the Trade Finance Distribution Initiative, TFDI, a consortium of the world's leading banks and non-bank financial institutions established for the purpose of bridging the 1.7 trillion trade finance gap. It was also invited to join the ITFA's Digital Negotiable Instruments Initiative, DNI. Together with its partner TradeTech, XDC Network was responsible for the world's first trade finance based non-fungible token transaction in late 2021. So how about that, folks? The world's first trade finance based NFT transaction in late 2021. Going forward, in partnership with TradeTech and other members of the TFDI, XDC Network is positioned to roll out a suite of trade finance-based products, which will make trade finance assets widely accessible to capital markets, while enabling finance-starved small to medium enterprises to finally gain access to the financing they need. So this is absolutely major right there. $1.7 trillion trade finance gap. And that's just part of the gap there in the funding that's missing within the trade finance sector, which overall the trade finance sector is a $19 trillion space. Absolutely major. Now let's get to the fun stuff, guys. XDC predictions. So in my opinion, I think that we're about to see a mass migration of ERC20 tokens to XDC. I forgot to actually put in XDC. There you go. Mass migration of XDC of ERC20 tokens to XDC. I think that many institutions that tried or considered Ethereum will move to XDC because they'll just, they've seen the Ethereum 2.0. That was a complete failure. The network is very expensive to use, cannot scale, and is not as decentralized as many would like. And so I believe that this is going to lead to a mass migration of basically any ERC20 tokens that are legit and actually have utility, which is few and far between. About 99% of those cryptos are actually going to go away. But the few that actually have real utility, I think that they are going to migrate simply because Ethereum just doesn't work. Some of them, obviously are going to use Polygon and some of these other networks that help scale ERC20. But I just think that XDC is positioned uniquely, sitting at some of these major groups, some of these major partnerships that you're seeing, right? These are the tables that matter. This isn't moving, little ERC20 tokens that don't really matter to the network, but this is getting institutions that tried to use Ethereum to instead move on over to XDC. And I think that that's going to be major. Now, as far as price, guys, this one's tough to go. And I know that everybody wants me to, say that everyone's going to catch a 100x. The next 100x is going to be XDC. And, if I was like these other guys, I'd throw that in the thumbnail and the clickbait. But I like to stay conservative, guys. I really do like to stay conservative when I look at these utility cryptocurrencies. What I'm looking at is conservatively, can I catch a 10x? And I think that that's going to easily be done. So the all-time high was 19 cents on August 21st, 2021. In my opinion, by 2030, digital assets will have grown 10x in market cap from the peak of the last bull run. So that's going to take us from 3 trillion, which is what we were at last bull run, to over $30 trillion. And that's a market cap bro calculation, which you guys know there's a big difference in my opinion between market cap and liquidity value. So I think that just the market cap alone is going to go from 3 trillion to 30 plus trillion, but the liquidity value of these networks could easily be settling hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars daily. And when we see the growth in this cryptocurrency digital asset space and the amount of money and value that's going to pour into these networks, it's going to grow 10x from 3 trillion to 30 trillion plus, and that's a conservative prediction in that, I believe. But this is 90% of that is going to be going into primarily utility cryptocurrencies. It's not going into bullshit anymore. It's not going into memes, right? This is going to be going into utility. And so a lot of that, just think about that. The 3 trillion that the space grew to was just a drop in the bucket, but just think of 90% of that value moving to these utility cryptocurrencies. That would have been major. I mean, that would be major for XDC and some of these other utility cryptocurrencies. But I'm talking of 10xing that value, going from 3 trillion to over $30 trillion parked, value that is going to be parked and represented within the digital asset space. But that is different from the liquidity value of these networks, which could easily be selling hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars daily. Now, conservatively, I expect XDC to 10x its previous all-time high when we finally get regulations and we get our next utility bull run. Long-term price prediction is too hard to calculate based off of the tokenomics, token lockup, and other factors like, the distribution of these tokens. It's tough to tell when there's still so much yet to be distributed between the founders, the ecosystem development, how righteous of custodians is the XinFin founders and basically the people who control the XDC tokens, the remaining ones. Where is that going to go? We want to see it go to the development of the ecosystem. We know that there's still quite a bit here to be released. Basically, there's going to be, we're at 13.8 billion and we need to release about 37 billion total. That's going to happen over time. So in my opinion, like I said, we conservatively are going to 10x the previous all-time high, which was about 20 cents. So that's going to take us to a price prediction of about $2 is where, for me, I may start to take some profits off the table. Now, like I said, full disclosure, I'm not paid. I'm not sponsored by XinFin in any way. I don't do any paid sponsorships, period. I just believe in these cryptocurrencies and these utilities. So full disclosure, I did go buy a little bit more XDC today. Okay, so I have acquired some XDC, but for me, it's a long-term hold, and the first initial price point that I would consider maybe taking some action would be around $1, but I do conservatively expect it to reach $2. That would be a 10x from the previous all-time high, but that's a 100x at today's price point. So if we look here at CoinMarketCap right now, at the time of this recording, we are trading at 2 cents. Just under 3 cents. Okay, basically 2.5 cents is where we're at for XDC. So you can get a quite a bit of tokens, right? Because this token's only trading at 2 cents US dollars. But as we see, the market cap, right, 329 million. And if we look, today's volume is only 2 million. So there's not much money really parked in this thing. But if we look at this, remember, the total supply, 37.7 billion. Okay. And right here. So the self-reported supply is 13.8 billion, and the self-reported market cap would run up to 366 million. Okay. So at today's, time of this recording, you can get it for 2 cents. And I'm saying that we conservatively, in my opinion, are going to 10x the previous all-time high. And that's based off of the fundamental analysis that this whole space gets about 10 times growth between now and 2030. So as far as timeline, as far as the exact prediction, stay patient, stay conservative. It's life-changing money when we, just do a little 10x here. But from today's price point, it would actually be a 100x. So, I'm not going to put 100x in the thumbnail and the clickbait, but I do believe, the XDC that I bought today at 2 cents, I do believe I'm going to catch a 100x on that potentially, right? Now, it's not financial advice, and I'm not trying to give you guys expectations that aren't realistic. What these are is conservative predictions for me. It's like with XRP. We talk about 10K XRP, but at $10 XRP, it's life-changing. It's life-changing, and we're well on our way to generational wealth. Okay, but we don't want to be greedy, and we want to have an exit strategy. But fundamentally, the ability to stake, leverage, borrow against these assets is how I'm planning on reaping the rewards of all of this value pouring into these assets while we accumulate them after they've been beat up. XDC is down, I think it's 86%, 87, almost 90%, basically from the previous all-time high. So it's been absolutely smashed. But that's a very attractive price right there at 2 cents right now. And, not to get too deep into it, but the current market where we're at, I still think that we are going to go lower. Another 50% could easily be done. And that's just going to be a chance for us to continue dollar cost averaging and continue to build fundamental positions in these bags that we know are going to reap the benefits of the trillions of dollars, the quadrillions of dollars that's going to be represented on distributed ledger technology. XDC, I believe, is going to be one of the main winners. And that's why I think 10x from the previous all-time high is going to be easily done. And that's, I think realistic. I think that's very, very realistic. And other people are going to throw out bigger predictions. They're going to talk about XDC going to $10, $20, $100 because people just throw out numbers. For me, I wanted to give you guys something that I really could work with, right? That's really conservative, not going to be, ridiculous clickbait, but something that we can actually take a serious look at how much money and value is coming into this space, how much the liquidity value that's going to be settled daily on these networks. And to me, that's going to take us to a much, much higher price point. And conservative predictions takes us to life-changing opportunity. That is what we are here for. And that is why, not financial advice, but I stacked myself a little bag of XDC today. And I will continue to build fundamental positions in cryptocurrencies like XDC and the others that we believe in so much. Guys, this one's major for me. Like I said, if you haven't already, go back and I'll put the link down below. So go check out the interview that I did with Quincy Jones. This was when I was first getting going on TikTok, and I was trying to get Quincy actually built up on TikTok as well. So we brought Quincy on the platform. It was an incredible interview on all of the cryptocurrency space, and we did talk about XDC as well. So I will link that down below. But I also want to encourage you guys. So now, if you go use my link for Uphold, okay, we appreciate you guys using all the affiliates and supporting the channel. Down below, I'm going to link Uphold, which you can now go buy XDC on Uphold, and you can move it to your external wallet. So down below, I have my affiliate for Uphold, where you can go buy XDC, and then down below that, I'm going to link my Xrpl Titan, and the Xrpl wallets are are compatible with XDC. So you can buy your XDC on Uphold, and then you can move it to your cold storage solution, which I prefer, and I use the Xrpl wallet down below. I will have the links for both, and I appreciate your guys' support. If you haven't already, please smash that thumbs up. Merry Christmas to you all. I appreciate all of you guys so much, and we're just getting started. We have much more work to do as we enter the new year, 2023. It's going to be absolutely major. I appreciate all of you guys so much. Everything's down below. Head to my website, zachrichter.com. God bless you all. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Thank you.